Greetings, Professor and fellow POLI 102 classmates. My name is Cody Downs. I'm originally born and raised in Anchorage, Alaska. I lived there for 25 years, and the reason why I moved away and I am speaking to you now from my office in Point Loma is because I enlisted in the United States Navy. I've been in the United States Navy now for 6 years, and I'm speaking to you from my office at MCRD San Diego. I am planning to go into a major university. I'm going to the University of California, Riverside as a transfer student. That's why I'm taking POLI 102, and my declared major is public policy. My favorite color has always been blue. I don't know why, but for some reason I like the warmth. I think that it can be a color that's both light and dark, and my favorite shade is royal blue, so I guess take that for what it's worth. I would say that the one thing people do not know about me, and this is kind of a little weird one, but that's why they say it's one thing they don't know about you, is that ever since I was 14, no matter how well I slept, no matter what amount of food I ate, no matter how well I took care of myself with vitamins and nutrients, what have you not, water I drank as in the mix, I've always had a constant 5 o'clock shadow under my eyes. I always looked like Humphrey Bogart. And for those of you who don't know who Humphrey Bogart is, he was this longtime actor, considered one of the classics, did a movie called Casablanca. But I've always had this constant 5 o'clock shadow, so I've always worn like makeup, and over the last few years I've worn minimal makeup just because I always look like I have a 5 o'clock shadow. I don't know what it is. I've been looked at by my doctor and everything, and it's just one of those things that they can't quite explain. So, oh well, take that for what it's worth again. Just like I said, royal blue is my favorite color. My favorite film, and this is a tough one because I am a self-described film buff. I like horror, I like comedy. But if I was going to be stuck on a desert island and I had to choose what my favorite film would be, it would be without doubt the Godfather franchise, but specifically the first two films from 72 and 74. I just love the way they did those films. The writing, the production design, the music, but it was everything comes down to story, and the way it dealt with the themes of betrayal, family loyalty, and all the little intricacies involved. It is without a doubt one of the classics. I watch it at least once every 18 months. There are certain scenes I can quote, and what's great about I think that film is that it's one of those films that even people who have never seen it, they know what you're talking about, even when they see the parody. To me, that's a good hallmark of a film. My favorite book that I recently read was one called Cain and Abel. It's by this guy named Jeffrey Archer, and it's one that I'm rereading again because it then deals with a lot of like universal themes like betrayal and class warfare. And one's guy's name's Cain, one's Abel. Obviously, you get that because of the title. But I'm kind of rereading because some of it went a little over my head, and I haven't been able to quite get it down. So I'm going to try to get down to pat again. But I can see why it's considered one of the classics by, again, this man, Jeffrey Archer. Another book I'd like to recommend is called The Gray Man by Mark Greaney. And the reason why I like it is because it's very similar to the Bourne franchise by Robert Ludlum, which of course is made into the film starring Matt Damon. A little bit footnote, a little bit biased for it because I picked it up back in 2010, but I never quite read it up until now recently again. And the reason why is because the gentlemen that are now adapting it into a film are friends of mine. And their names are Joe and Anthony Russo. So, again, I have a little bit of a personal connection to that. The worst book I read in recent memory for me was a book that won a bunch of medals back in the early 90s, 92 I believe. It was called The House on Mango Street by Sandro Cisneros. Bottom line, overrated. And I would say that if I could be living any life, for me, I would like to be involved in philanthropy. I know that's kind of a cop-out answer because it said, well, you have lots of money, but I've been involved in community service since I was very young, and I think that if I could have the resources, especially in nowadays, money does talk, I'd like to do what I can to help disadvantaged kids, and especially those who want to pursue higher education. So it's a near and dear to my heart, so philanthropy. I'd like to be a philanthropist if I could. Do I vote? Yes, I've always voted. My very first election I cast was municipal election in April of 2002, and I've only ever missed 2 elections. My first election that I missed was a very important one. It was the mayoral race for our then mayor, now U.S. Senator of Alaska, Mark Begich. He only won by 21 votes, and I missed the election because I was in my first time at college at Simon Fraser University in Vancouver, Canada. I just believe that we live in such a privileged and such an exceptional nation that to not vote, to me, you don't really have any reason to complain. I have worked the polls, and nothing that I really talk about a lot, but I actually did run for public office. I ran for the State House of Representatives back in 2004 in Alaska. So yeah, I do consider being involved in the public process very important. I would say that if my life was a film, it would probably be a dark comedy. And because things always happen to me in such a madcap way, but at the same time, it has kind of a hard edge to it. And I would say the title of it would be Sometimes Proceeds with Caution. Thanks for listening.